It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game.
Move on, Joe!
You're damn right it's the Pregame Show. It's a Friday. Not a payday Friday, but that's okay. It's a Star Wars Friday, apparently. Tomorrow's May 4th, and as we all know, it's Star Wars Day on May the 4th be with you. Sam Lubman's dressed up in a Mandalorian onesie this morning. I don't think it's the first Star Wars-related thing I'll see today at the office. I would be shocked. Got a lot of nerds here. I'm one of them. Wasn't wearing my Star Wars shirt today, but I'm taking the little guy to go see the 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace. Yeah, 25 years. It's crazy. Remember my dad took me to see that movie, the first Star Wars movie to come out, what 15, 16, 17 years, whatever it was, whenever Return of the Jedi came out. And yeah, we're nerding out here at 5:01 a.m. on the Pregame Show to all you lovely people here in the greater Bay Area, across the nation, across international waters. Appreciate you chiming in at 888-957-9570. That's the number to call or text the Xfinity mobile text line. You can also hit me up on the Odyssey app. Download that bad boy. Take us wherever you need to go, plus thousands of other stations. Just download it. Favorite 95.7 The Game, and you'll be locked and loaded, ready to go. You can also hit us up on YouTube, Twitch, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. You're streaming Monday through Friday, all day long, right there on 95.7 The Game's Twitch and YouTube streams. Plus, yeah, we're on Twitter. We are streaming live on Twitter. You can follow me at Spadoni_Joe. Hit me up there if you have any questions, comments, concerns. There you go. Cinco de Mayo on Sunday. And as we all know, it's the anniversary of the Battle of Puebla that happened in 1862 near Puebla de Los Angeles during the Second French Intervention in Mexico. There you go. If you didn't know that, shame on you. You should have been listening to the Pregame Show a couple days ago when I mistakenly thought it was, the Mexico's independence from France, and that's common misconception. It's actually about the Battle of Puebla and a key victory over the French. So there you go. The French keep on taking L's like Paris Saint-Germain a couple days ago against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League semifinals. What are we doing this weekend? That's what I like to ask on a Friday too. What are we doing? What are we doing for Cinco de Mayo? What are we doing for Star Wars weekend? If you're not in Star Wars, it doesn't matter. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, which sucks. Here in the Bay Area, it's supposed to rain a lot, I think. Who asked for that? It's been beautiful and gorgeous last couple days, and it was kind of cold this morning, and it's going to rain tomorrow? Come on. What kind of sick joke is that? NBA playoffs are not a sick joke. Those have been on fire. Warriors fans on the outside looking in. No stress. But you know what? A series like we just had between the Knicks and the Sixers is a palate cleanser. That felt great to watch. Just hard fought, grinded out, big shot after big shot. Jalen Brunson, Embiid, Maxey, Josh Hart, all these guys. He was all Hart last night, by the way. Huge three-pointer from Josh Hart. The Nova boys and Fuego there. And it was just fun to watch. Series is over for them. Series is over for the Milwaukee Bucks as well. So the Bucks and Sixers gone yesterday, which adds fuel to the fire. That was me shoveling coal if you're watching me on YouTube. Fuel to the fire of, potential trade targets. Now, we'll wait and see with the Bucks, with Giannis, with Joel Embiid and the Sixers. But there's going to be some disgruntled people and players and stars. And all it takes is one of them to try to force their way out. And if you're a team like the Warriors, if you're a team like the Lakers, you're going to try to pounce on those. 888-957-9570 is the number. That's the guy you would want, right, Warriors fans? If you can get anyone, and Steiny and Goo were talking about this yesterday, and they're bringing up Paul George, bringing up LeBron, Kevin Durant was a big topic of conversation, but the guy is Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's not even close. Now he's under contract, makes things difficult. Damian Lillard just got traded over there. He's part of it now too. But the roster outside of Giannis is just old, slow, decimated. And they got their asses kicked against the Indiana Pacers, who really just play offense. They don't really play a lot of defense. And the Bucks still couldn't score. And Tyrese Halliburton going after both Dame and Pat Bev after the game yesterday was just chef's kiss. And by the way, it's officially 5 years now, guys. 5 years since that 2019 tweet or post from Pat Bev telling Steph Curry, the next 5 years are mine. I think Steph won a title during those 5 years. What did Pat Bev win? Oh, that's tough. You hate to see that. Good morning on the Xfinity mobile text line. 925. Klay Thompson got big bucks for real with the Warriors when he didn't play for 2 years due to injury. In my opinion, he should take less money to stay with the Warriors as a sixth man. It doesn't always work like that. Again, I am very pro player. I am always going to side with the player over ownership, over anything like that. Always. And to ask Klay Thompson to take less money, why would he want to do that? If he still believes he has something left in the tank and his value is still up there, why would he take less money? Is it to bring in a guy like Kevin Durant? Well, maybe. But this is the thing that you have to wrap your heads around. Winning a championship is not the end-all be-all to guys that have already won championships. It might be what separates, good from great or great to elite, or even the Hall of Famers from other Hall of Famers. I was kind of spitting this with, it was either Evan or Sam. I was like, there's a Hall of Fame for the Hall of Famers. So like you have your Dan Marinos, you have your Peyton Mannings, but there's also a separate little one for Patrick Mahomes and Joe Montana, right? You could have your, Derek Jeters, right? But there's a separate one for Willie Mays. There's the Hall of Fame of Hall of Fame. And guys like LeBron James and Stephen Curry, they're built different. They want to win at the highest level, and their emotions show that on the court. I don't know if that's the goal for Klay Thompson right now. Is a championship driving Klay Thompson still? Well, if that's the case, and then you make a big trade or a big splash trade for a guy like Kevin Durant, maybe he takes a pay cut. Maybe his market isn't as robust as he or his agent thinks it is. Again, there's going to be so many moving parts. This is going to be one hell of an offseason in NBA basketball. That's why we keep talking about it. And I cannot wait to see the chaos that ensues as soon as free agency opens here in the National Basketball Association. Monty Pool, who covers the Golden State Warriors for NBC Sports Bay Area, does a hell of a job. Monty's been tapped into that team for years. Joined, was it Willard and Dibbs yesterday? I think it was. Joined them yesterday and talked about, Kevin Durant, and it'll come down to this if he wants to come to the Golden State Warriors.
They were pulling out every stop they possibly could to let him know that, hey, we want you here because this thing gone to 3 straight finals, and we think we can do it as long as you're here. But Kevin had other ideas, and that's the thing. In Phoenix right now, they can do all they want, but if Kevin has a different idea, that's going to create a problem if he stays. So that's what needs to unfold. Let's see where that goes and how Kevin feels about whatever gets said in the next few days.
More from Monty on if he thinks KD is automatically out on the idea of returning to the Warriors.
I don't think he's closed-minded to many things. You may recall that he and Draymond had a dispute very public in L.A. that season. Everybody saw it, and, there was bad blood. But yet, here you are, a few months later, going on a podcast with Draymond to talk about it and the reasons behind it and what could have happened, should have happened. If KD goes on a podcast with Draymond, I mean, he could have said, no, man, I don't want to deal with you, but he didn't say that. And again, Kevin had plenty of time with Steve Kerr when Steve Kerr was on Greg Popovich's staff for Team USA last Olympics. And that was not much of an issue at all. And now you're going to look at this Olympics. You got Kevin, you got Steve, you got Steph. They're all going to be going to Vegas in July for training camp. They're all going to be going to Paris for the Olympics. And so I don't think there's a situation where Kevin will say, no, I don't want to deal with the Warriors. I don't believe that. And when he came back to Chase Center for the first time with fans last season, got a huge ovation, loved every minute of it, expressed his gratitude. I don't think KD would say no just because they're the Warriors.
Just because they're the Warriors, Kevin Durant would not say no. That's Monty Pool again, NBC Sports Bay Area. You can find that entire interview yesterday right here on 95.7 The Game by searching for 95.7 The Game on YouTube. Also downloading that Odyssey app. You can find every single one of our interviews there. We had a great interviews, I should say, yesterday on the Morning Roast with Dave Fleming and his brother Will Fleming, who calls games for the Boston Red Sox on the radio side for WEEI. Very cool. Will surprised his big bro there. Cool moment as well. Also, Eddie Johnson. Here's what Eddie Johnson had to say yesterday about Kevin Durant. And he had a lot to say even about Ricky Pearsall, surprisingly. Obviously, Eddie Johnson, pre- and post-game analyst for the Phoenix Suns, longtime NBA veteran, guy knows his stuff, SiriusXM NBA radio, joining the Morning Roast yesterday on if the Suns will move Kevin Durant.
No, he's not going anywhere. I mean, look, our ownership, I don't think no way he's giving up after 1 year. I mean, this is an owner that has been very successful in what he has done, the mortgage business. He is determined. He's young. He's aggressive. He only knows one way, and that's to win. And no way he's giving up after 1 year. I mean, people would love to see that. People would love to see the Suns give up after 1 year. And then if KD's name was thrown out there, if Bill's name is thrown out there, those teams will call. So no. That's just, when you lose, everything goes south. People's emotions get caught up because they have no control over it. But those players do have a control over it. Ownership has a control over it. And, we just got to get back to the drawing board and see how we can make this thing work.
Eddie Johnson there yesterday with Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky, the Morning Roast. He doesn't see it moving on, and again, we'll see. We shall see. This NBA offseason, again, it's going to be full of a lot of twists and turns and players you don't expect to be available, players you did expect to be available, re-sign, stuff like that. So lots of moving parts. And prior to that, Monty Pool mentioned Team USA. And I think this is a really underrated part of this whole equation. A lot of these guys that could potentially be on the market or be available for trade are going to be on the Olympic roster together. Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Stephen Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James. Again, some of those guys hurt. Probably not going to play. But, I mean, those are guys that could potentially be available. Durant, Adebayo, not Edwards, not Halliburton, who both advanced to the second round. That's going to be a hell of a series, by the way. Indiana and New York. New York should be the favorites. I think they'll get past that series, but I'm not sleeping on the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton's that dude. I wonder how Kings fans are feeling about that trade, by the way. Kings fans, if you're listening, hit me up, 888-957-9570. You missing Tyrese Halliburton? I know it's the Eastern Conference, it's not the West. Advancing in the East is not nearly as difficult as advancing in the West. But, I mean, he's the best player on that team, and they're in the second round. Kings haven't made it to the second round in, 20 years? Just saying. And I like De'Aaron Fox. I do. And Sabonis has been good for them. But the notion that you couldn't have Fox and Halliburton, I guess. You can never have too many passers. I think that's what Steiny always says, and I kind of agree with that. Guys that are unselfish, like Halliburton, and guys that I understand need balls in their hands as well, but Oof, that guy. He's a problem. And he's about that smoke, too. He's about that life. I appreciate that. 888-957-9570. 408 from the Xfinity Mobile text line. Hopefully, the Warriors could acquire a big 7-footer or close to it in a Wiggins trade, ideally along with some form of shooter. We are asking a lot for a little. The Warriors have to work with. The notion that the Warriors are going to go out and get a 7-foot big man like a Zaza Pachulia out there, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. You got Trace Jackson Davis now, who is an undersized guy that plays a big position, but I thought he showed great promise. I thought he showed that he could be a guy potentially that could be in that starting spot. Kevon Looney, I think he's done in Golden State. Just based off what I saw in the production of this past season, the wear and tear, it looks like it's gotten to Kevon. Now, he can still play in the league. I'm not saying he can't, but the services needed of him are going to be far fewer here in Golden State with the addition of Trace Jackson Davis potentially than somewhere else. So maybe it's better for Kevon's future that he moves on and gets some more playing time with another franchise. And I love Kevon, but he was going through it this past season. Physically, I mean, mentally, he's always, I can't speak for the guy in between the ears, but he is just the consummate professional on and off the court, speaking to the media, all that. Great teammate. Everyone speaks highly of him. He'll fit in anywhere he goes. That would be a loss. That would suck to lose a guy like that. But you got Trace Jackson Davis because you saw the writing on the wall with Kevon at some point. You got Brandon Pajemski now, too. Now, you'd still like to keep Chris Paul, but for the money, I don't know if you're going to be able to keep Chris Paul. I don't know if Chris Paul wants to come back on the cheap. So, hard truths cut both ways here in Golden State, as we've learned. Shout out Stannis, the Manus of the House Baratheon. More of Monty Pool on Jonathan Kuminga and his future in Golden State, on if he could be traded.
I think Jonathan is safe unless there's a deal they can't resist. They won't trade Kuminga unless they think that the person coming back to them is an immediate upgrade and someone who can help get back to the finals. I don't see them doing that. I mean, Joe loves JK. They like his progress.
That's the one right there. Joe Lacob loves Jonathan Kuminga. Joe Lacob loved James Wiseman too, and he's gone. So, I mean, you can love them all you want if you're an owner, but if they're not going to be contributing at the level you need them to, and you feel like you can upgrade at a certain position, then everything's on the table. But this goes back to what I was talking about this past week. How does Joe Lacob view this team right now? That's what matters. Is he going to spend the most money on an NBA roster that's going to be another play-in team? I just don't see that happening. And if he does do that, well then, I think that tells you everything. He's going to run it back. He doesn't think this team, or he does think this team is an NBA champion, still can be an NBA champion type of team. And you know what? We got Steph Curry, we got Clay, we got Draymond. All right. You know what? You're going to live with these guys and die with these guys. And there's a part of me that respects that. There's also a part of me, if I'm a fan, we got to look to the future, which I do think that is what Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy are trying to figure out right now. What is the future of this team with Stephen Curry and without Stephen Curry? And Jonathan Kuminga, I would like to have him for my future with Steph and when Steph is gone. So that means re-signing him, not training him, and him being a mainstay with this team. But it's interesting, the comments of a Steve Kerr on with Tim Kawakami talking about if he views Jonathan Kuminga and how he views him as a player going forward. And he doesn't know if he's a 3. He doesn't know. I'm talking about the best players on the Warriors right now, though. If you were to take a poll for all Warriors fans outside of Stephen Curry, Who's the Warriors' best player? Andrew Wiggins? He's too inconsistent. Klay Thompson? No. Draymond Green? Maybe. But the guy's never on the court. He's getting ejected. Putting guys in headlocks. Thinks it's WWE, knows it's the NBA. I can't trust that guy, just like I can't trust Wiggins. For different reasons. But they're both untrustworthy at this point. Is it Brandon Pajemski? He's a rookie. Trace Jackson? Come on. Chris Paul? Well, last season, I could trust him. It's Jonathan Kuminga. To me, and it's not even close. He's the second best player on this team right now. Which is not good enough to win a title, which is why you need to improve and get a true number two besides Steph. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if, the trade market is going to allow you to do that. We're going to see. But we're seeing it in the West, and we're seeing it in the East. You need a number two, and you need young players as well. That's why the Warriors are a rock caught in a hard place right now. Like, you feel the waves crashing up against you and all this pressure to try to compete for a title. But at the same time, every other team feels like they're getting younger and you're getting older. And this isn't just the Warriors. We've been talking about it all week. It's all these different teams that are feeling it. The teams that were eliminated yesterday, one specifically, the Milwaukee Bucks, they're feeling it right now. You don't think Giannis is feeling the weight? I mean, that guy's been injury prone. This is crazy. And Shasky threw this in the group chat yesterday. Since the Bucks have won an NBA title, they haven't gotten out of the first round. That's unbelievable. It really is. That's crazy. My God. I don't think Giannis is going to force himself out. He just re-signed a contract there. They brought in Damian Lillard. And could you imagine if I'm Dame, I'd be so pissed if Giannis forced his way out and he goes to Golden State. 1 year with him. You guys couldn't even be on the floor together when it mattered most. And then Dame yesterday, just the explosion. The guy's dealing with an Achilles injury. It's just not there. Again, Father Time. It hurts. It hurts to watch. You're seeing it with Dame. You're seeing it with a lot of these guys. Hell, even Steph at times last year. Game Steph didn't even make a three-pointer. A few of them. We're just seeing it. It's tough. More from Monty Pool on the goal of this offseason.
This offseason is about getting all it can squeeze out of the next 2 years. That means Steve Kerr, that's his contract, got 2 more years. Steph Curry, 2 more years. And to do that, to me, that says, okay, you're going after someone who's going to be of immediate help, an immediate impact player right now. Yeah, Kevin's 35 years old, and he'll be 36 in September. But you watch him play, and you see he's still got it.
Maximize the next 2 seasons. Are there enough moves to be made this offseason for the Warriors to contend for an NBA championship next season? If everything falls into place perfectly, if the stars align, if you get a Giannis or an Embiid potentially. Like that's in a perfect scenario, yes. In one offseason, the Warriors could be title contenders again next year. I believe that. If the chips fall perfectly for them, that would take a million different things, I feel like. But if you want to be in fantasy land, sure. Realistically, it's going to take at least 2 for me. So that'd be this offseason, then next year would be kind of the last push, if you will. This year, I think it's about retooling, kind of taking stock of where you're at, your positioning in the league, try to get better, try to develop some of this young talent, the Kumingas, Pajemskis, Trace Jackson Davis. Maybe you hit on another draft pick. Very impressed with Pods and TJD last year. Mike Dunleavy, what do you got for me now? Maybe you have to take a little bit of a step back here. And that's okay if that means you're a true championship contender the year after. And I think Steph would be okay with that. I don't care what Draymond thinks about that. How does Klay feel about that? And he's in that picture. That makes things a little more tricky when it comes to his contract negotiations, or maybe it doesn't. Again, I don't know if a championship mentality is what drives Klay Thompson. I mean, the guy's had 2 major injuries. Maybe it's just being the best player he could be now going forward. I know what drives Stephen Curry. I don't know what drives Draymond Green. I know what drives him crazy. Yusuf Nurkic, amongst others, and any single referee. Anytime anyone's wearing a black and white vertical stripes, it would just apparently just set off Draymond Green. By the way, that call yesterday on the goaltending on Hartenstein against Maxey in the Game 6, first round between the Knicks and the Sixers. Just seeing Scott Foster on my screen, something about it. Whenever he speaks to us, and Steiny was not happy about the call. We were in the chat. He did not believe it was a true goaltending call. It was a soft call. I was like, hit the backboard first, Steiny. What do you want to do? We have slow-mo now. You want to get these calls right in the final 2 minutes? That was the right call. For as much as we want to get on Scott Foster, it was the right call. It was just funny just seeing him in crucial moments in playoff situations. And I was like, what's Scott going to do? He's in Philly too. He could do the unthinkable and say, actually, there's no foul. Now, couldn't have done that, but that would have been funny. Would have piqued Scott Foster. From the Xfinity Mobile text line, 510. Stannis Baratheon is a character on the 3-body problem. Haven't thought about him since his encounter with the Red Priestess on Game of Thrones. Shout out 510. Hey, Stannis got done dirty in the live action. All right. He got done dirty. I'm curious to see what happens to him in the books when and if those books ever come out. Shout out George R.R. Martin, the king of procrastination when it comes to those books. But House of Dragon returns next month on HBO. Can't wait for the second season of that. And I can't wait for the second segment of the pregame show with all of you, 888-957-9570. Continue to discuss the Warriors offseason, what moves they need to make. Can this be a championship team next year? And how does that come to fruition? 888-957-9570. Plus, Alex Smith talked Brock Purdy yesterday on the afternoon show, and John Lynch spoke to Pat McAfee about this 49ers offseason. We're going to get into that on the other side on a Phil Collins Friday on 95.7 The Game.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you.
center field and deep. On its way, and it is gone at Fenway Park. Mike Yastrzemski. I was wrong.
Phil Collins Friday here. Pre-game show, Joe Spadoni rolls on 95.7 The Game. One segment down, two more to go before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky, the morning roast. Shasky's fired up. I know Shasky's fired up because he's already saying, what are we getting for breakfast? It's like, bro, you don't have to tell me twice. Let's get breakfast burritos. That sounds delicious. Go for a breakfast burrito right now. Mike Yastrzemski, solo jack yesterday. Hey, Yastrzemski hitting a home run in Fenway Park. Have you heard that before? Oh, yeah. His grandfather was Carl Yastrzemski. 2019, last time he homered at Fenway Park. That was awesome. 5 years later now, does it again. Always cool. Like, and his family's going nuts there. What that name means for the city of Boston, like, it's freaking awesome. And the Giants got to win. But what's not awesome is just this lack of scoring. And Jung-Hoo Lee, by the way, making up for that horrible misplay in the sun for a diving out a couple batters later to end the inning was incredible. But the lack of scoring right now is just, it's bad. Jung-Hoo Lee, 0 for yesterday. Like, the leadoff hitter needs to get on base, man. Sets the tone. And I like him. I do. I like the swag. I like all that. He's a fun player to watch. But what's fun is scoring. Chicks dig the long. You want to score. And I thought Mark Willard did a great soliloquy yesterday on this with Dan Dibley. Just not scoring is boring in baseball. And I understand the Giants won 3 World Series with that. But right now, you are trying to capture an audience that is not watching the Niners, is not watching the Warriors. We're paying attention to the offseason moves. What's the how you going to do? You know, the Warriors offseason, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Klay Thompson. Like, you're playing an actual sport right now, and you still can't capture us. That's a problem. Now, Camilo Duvall, he's box office. He's nasty. Got the save yesterday. He's 6th of the year. He's still filthy. And we love that. We do. But I also like seeing more home runs. More than just solo jacks, too. Speaking of Yaz's home run, here he is after the game talking about it.
It's just really cool. Obviously wouldn't have the opportunity without him doing what he did. So, it's just fun. I try to enjoy every chance I get to play here. Having a lot of family here is great. And, the first time I was here, it felt a little pressure to perform and play well. But this time I really got to enjoy it and just relax and see family and have fun.
Mike Yastrzemski there, sound courtesy of NBC Sports Bay Area. Again, the Giants get the 3-1 win over the Boston Red Sox. Salvage that series. They are 15-17 on the year and now head to Philadelphia, who has just been lights out pitching-wise. The Philadelphia Phillies, they are for real, spelled with a PH. And the Phillies, well, that's the only team that Philadelphia is going to be paying attention to now after both the Eagles were one and done, and now the Philadelphia 76ers are one and donezo. Tough. All right. Back to the Warriors. Real quick. This is the last one from Monty Pool I want to get to because he was actually a tremendous interview yesterday. And when I say actually, it's not like Monty isn't, but there was a lot of off-season drama talk packed into that interview. And I wanted to make sure I got to all of it. And Kevin Durant being a better fit for Golden State than any other star was interesting to me. Now, I don't think Monty was really counting Giannis and Embiid and anything like that because I do believe those would be tremendous fits alongside Stephen Curry. Gives you size that you desperately need, playmaking, box office. I mean, it literally checks all the boxes if either of those guys became available. Now, we can get into the conversation as well. Is this still a attractive destination for other players? And was it ever? Really? I mean, It's one thing when you have Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond, Clay, all at the top of their game for the best players, and you're a guy like David West. Okay, yeah, I'll come over there. That makes sense. But now, 2 years removed from a title, he just got bounced in a play-in game against a shorthanded Kings team in Sacramento, got embarrassed. Klay Thompson went over. Like, if I'm Giannis or Embiid, am I looking at the Warriors right now and being like, I want to force my way to go there? All the way across the country? I'm not sure. I think my answer is no. Is Stephen Curry a guy you want to play with? Are you going to get the love and adoration of a guy like Steph? No, you're not. And does that matter to a Giannis or an Embiid being the number one guy? Because that's all they've been for their teams. They've only been number ones in Philadelphia, in Milwaukee. And Steph is a different beast. It's like playing with LeBron. Anthony Davis is there, but it's LeBron's team. You got Dwayne Wade, you got Chris Paul. It's LeBron's team. Kobe and Shaq, they kind of fought for that for a while until Shaq had to move on. And, there was some beef there, obviously, about getting the limelight, getting that, and work ethic, all that sort of stuff. It is not as simple as, you know what, go get that guy, go get this guy. It's got to fit both on the basketball court and in the mentals and in their public image. You like to say and think like, oh, who cares what people think of you? These guys do. NBA players, more than anyone else, they care about their image. That is what they got. Why do you think they are the most active on social? Why do you think we are constantly talking about the NBA on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube, on our airwaves, on 95.7 The Game? Because the offseason drama. These guys love the drama. Fitting that they play on TNT because they know drama too. Although TNT might not be the home for NBA playoff basketball and NBA basketball going forward. There's a media rights deal coming up. It might be going back to NBC. And will we be getting our song back? Would we be getting the greatest song in the history of NBA basketball? Come on. I'm kind of all for it, although I like Chuck, Kenny, Ernie, Shaq. I'm a sucker for that song, though, too. I think Charles Barkley did say, though, he's not, if they do truly move to NBC, the NBA, if that's where the media rights deal shifts to, Charles has been on the record saying, I'm not tied down to TNT. So Charles making the move is Shaq. I know Ernie's been with Turner forever, Turner Sports. Just be very interesting. See what happens there. Good morning to all of you lovely people just getting off work, getting ready for it, getting ready for the day. It's the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. You got me here for the next 20 minutes. What are you doing this weekend? We having fun for Cinco de Mayo. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, which sucks. That's all right. You can have fun in the rain. Just look at Spider-Man and MJ. Am I right, Carter? Come on. Tobey Maguire, best Spider-Man? Not even close. 510. Spadone, like the Pope of Greenwich Village. The Warriors, quote, have the champion gene. You can say that for a lot of teams. You can say that for the Lakers. They won a championship. You can say that for the Bucks. They won a championship. Heat culture. I know they haven't won post-LeBron, but they've gotten to some of the finals. Nuggets, championship team. Like, it's not just enough. The championship, again, is part of it, but these guys are looking at their brands as well. And I don't know if you could build your brand in Golden State right now, being second fiddle to Steph Curry, because that's still what you would be. In the fans' eyes, that's what you would be. And that's hard, potentially, for a guy like Giannis or a guy like a Joel Embiid, when all they've known is being the dude. Anthony Davis fit in seamlessly with the Lakers and LeBron James. He was fine being that, and I think he was the best player in that championship run, even though LeBron won Finals MVP. Anthony Davis, I know, was in the bubble, so he stayed healthy, didn't have to travel. He was a monster, affecting on both ends of the court. It's not easy, though. Pau Gasol, European guy, second fiddle to Kobe. Easier said than done. But even then, Kobe had to, shake him up and kind of get that dog out of him and stuff like that and wake him up to try to be that co-star with him. 888-957-9570. We're up against it. One more break. More of your calls, more of your texts. And what Alex Smith had to say about Brock Purdy. You might be shocked about this one. Former number 1 overall pick, Alex Smith, talking about Mr. Irrelevant. You're going to be surprised. On the other side, 95.7 The Game.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired.
And you're listening to the Pregame Show on 95.7 The Game.
Hi, how are you?
Never tell me the odds.
Sing it, Phil.
You were the chosen one!
Phil Collins? Or Anakin Skywalker? Who's to say? It's the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. One more segment for you here before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky of the Morning Roast. They're fired up this morning. It's a Friday. You should feel good. We're all feeling great. It's the end of the week. You've earned it. Go relax. Come back. Have a nice Sunday. Go eat some Mexican food. Because every day really is, come on, we're in the Bay Area. And if I'm not talking to you in the Bay Area, go find your local, wherever Mexican restaurant that you can go to. Hell, I'll count Chipotle if you're in bum bleep nowhere. I'll count it. I'll count Taco Bell. I know it's not authentic, but if you're in an area where you can't get decent Mexican food, maybe make the drive for it. How about that? Go on Google right now, type out best Mexican food near me, and see what pops up. All right? Then I'm going to bring it back. It's your go-to Mexican dish. All right? Mine's the House Burrito. Shout out Michael's Grill and Taqueria, which sounds like the most gringo name, Michael's Grill and Taqueria. It was the owner that founded it, but I'm telling you, the House Burrito, shout out Pacific Grove, California. It's a wet burrito, so they got the salsa verde drenched all over it. And then you got the blackened shrimp. It's a little Cajun infusion there. Then you got the blackened chicken. And then you got all your pico de gallo. You got the guacamole. You got the sour cream. You got the black beans on the side. You got the rice in there, the Spanish rice. Oh, I can go for that right now. I could smash that literally at 5:48 a.m. right now. I'm not usually a breakfast guy either, but unfortunately, you get up so early at 3:30 in the morning that your taste buds and your appetites are all over the place, and that's what's happening to me here. It is what it is. From the Xfinity Mobile text line, I can't stop talking about food. 574, I believe that is Indiana on the Xfinity Mobile text line. Is Zion Williamson off the table now? I thought that was a possibility for the Warriors. Well, we'll see. We'll see, won't we? I think Brandon Ingram is more likely to be the guy that gets traded. And does he interest you, 574? I call him Kmart KD. It's kind of what he is. KD light, size, shooting, length. But he's not Kevin Durant. He comes up short a lot of times. He's inconsistent, hurt. I don't know if that intrigues Warriors fans enough. Still relatively young, I want to say. Brandon Ingram, 26. So you would be getting younger. That would be a move for the future as well as the present. Again, 6'8". He has a 7'3" wingspan. He is a tremendous talent. But from what I saw against the Oklahoma City Thunder in that first-round playoff series, again, no Zion. It's tough. I wasn't all that impressed. He was coming back from an injury. Maybe that has something to do with it. But throughout his career, he's left a lot to be desired. The talent's without question. It's putting that all together. And can he do that on a team like the Warriors? Is that the right fit, right style? He's been, he bounced around two different teams, Lakers and New Orleans. Are the Warriors the right team for him? Who's to say? 888-957-9570. Maybe Mike Dunleavy believes so. That's all it takes. It takes two to tango. Yeah, there you go, 574. No, Brandon Ingram does not move the needle for me. Fair enough, 574. I just don't think Zion, they're moving off of him. You invested so much to go out and get that guy with the Anthony Davis trade. You have got to do everything you can to try to maximize him. Because if you flop on not only Chris Paul and then Anthony Davis and then Zion, two of those guys are generational talents. And then Zion, talents without question. Also generational talent. Maybe I should have said Chris Paul and Anthony Davis, generational players, because they are both top 75 players in the history of the game. But if you whiff 3 straight times and fail to keep those guys, that's a problem with the market. And you got to look to move that team to Las Vegas, Seattle, wherever. Because enough is enough. 714. We need Pat Bev and Draymond on the same team. The all-suspension team. Pat Bev, that guy. Is he going to be in the camera too? Again, it's been 5 years now officially, now that Pat Bev's season's over, since the Pat Bev 2019 tweet at Steph Curry. All right, Steph, next 5 years are mine. Oh. Steph won a title in between those 5 years. Oh, interesting. Pat Bev, diddly. It's tough. That's tough. You know who else is tough as we pivot here? A little bit of football. Brock Purdy. And Alex Smith. That guy got pummeled. Guy almost lost his leg, almost lost his life, and came back from that and competed at a high level. I have nothing but respect for Alex Smith on the field and as a broadcaster. I think he's done a tremendous job with ESPN. He spoke yesterday about, Brock Purdy and all the pressure of being a 49ers quarterback, and it was just so refreshing to hear. Here's a guy, as I go Chris Collinsworth, here's a guy. And Alex Smith, number one overall, all the expectations of the world, constantly, constantly, to Aaron Rodgers. Same draft class, guy went to Cal, grew up a Niners fan. He was always going to get compared to him. And in comparison to Aaron Rodgers, he just comes up short. Aaron's a multiple-time MVP. He's won a Super Bowl, all of that. But Alex Smith was all class throughout his entire Niners career, Chiefs career, Commanders career. When he knew it was time for Colin Kaepernick to take over, Cap took over, Alex helped out. When it was time for Patrick Mahomes to take over, Alex got traded away, but he helped Patrick Mahomes. And then it was time for him to move on from Washington. That was obviously due to injury and stuff like that. He moved away. So he knows about fighting through adversity. Now, he doesn't have the instant success like a Brock had. It really is interesting. And I think it just speaks to the NFL draft. A guy like Alex Smith going number one overall, all the expectations of the world, and just could never live up to him. And then you got Brock Purdy, Mr. freaking irrelevant, the last pick of the NFL draft, with zero expectations and knocking them all out of the park and shattering everything. It really is a crapshoot. I mean, that right there goes to show you. And Brock Purdy is the best Niners quarterback since Jeff Garcia. I mean, he just had the best Niners season. He was an MVP candidate. I loved what Cap did in the playoffs. I loved it. Hell, Jimmy Garoppolo had moments. But Brock Purdy was an MVP candidate. None of those guys were true MVP candidates. Here's Alex Smith talking yesterday on the afternoon show about Brock Purdy.
It's the real deal. Brock is the real deal. I think for everybody out there trying to say he's a product of the situation, listen, is Kyle a great offensive coordinator? Of course. Are there great weapons there? Yes, but half the league you could say that about. You go into every, not just the main stats, but you go into the deep kind of, some of these more underlying stats for, accuracy, throwing under pressure with a defender in proximity of him, passing outside the pocket, throwing the ball downfield. I mean, Brock was number one in the NFL in about every category there was. This guy does it all. And then you just turn on the tape and, the eye test, he passes it as well. I mean, this guy, I think, plays with more courage in the NFL than about any quarterback. And that's saying a lot. I mean, he's not a big guy, but man, he stands in there. And that's something you just can't coach. I'm sorry. Like you guys have it or they don't. You can look good in shorts and throw it all around the yard, but when you put the pads on and 350 pounders are bearing down on you, to have that kind of courage and stand in there and still have the poise and accuracy to keep his eyes downfield, again, it's just a really, really rare.
So, Alex, you've been labeled a game manager throughout your career. Why is Brock also getting that same label?
He can process and he can hit his spot. So, man, he's going to be playing a long time at a high level. He's got that in him. And obviously it's just so rare for a guy to have dropped that far in the draft. I think so many people just can't get over the fact that it doesn't add up for him, right? He's not 6'5". He's not throwing it 80 yards. Like, they don't have the measurables. They can't quantify it. But in the end, that's not what playing quarterback's all about anyway. And again, it's about accuracy and processing and toughness. And this guy has all those things. And so I certainly love contradicting. There's a lot of people people out there that love to hate on him and knock him down. But man, it's he is the real deal, and incredibly happy for him. And he couldn't be to a better kid, man. This guy's as humble as they come, and just has a great, quiet confidence about him.
It's a massive season coming up for Brock Purdy. He's going to get paid. How much, though? I think this upcoming season is going to dictate a lot of that. Like, if he has a bad year for his standards, and he's set a very high standard now. You know, and Shasky and Vontae, they were talking about it all week. And Shasky brings it up, like, he thinks Brock can get even better, and I just don't even know what that looks like. Like, is it becoming more comfortable audibling? Is it becoming just more, you know, aware of defensive schemes, stuff like that? Because he has set the bar so high, I don't know how he clears it. I don't. I mean, the guy processes extremely quick. He is slippery in the pocket. He somehow always delivers it on time and on the money. No, he doesn't have the biggest arm, but his arm is good enough. I mean, I'm struggling to find where he's going to have so much improvement that it's going to be noticeable on the screen. Maybe it's not noticeable to us on the screen. Maybe it's knowing when to eat a play. You know, knowing to be like when Tom Brady and Peyton Manning knew, like, yeah, okay, let's just take the sack. It's not worth getting hurt. Not putting your body on the line. Maybe it's the maturity aspect in his full second year, right? We'll see. We shall see. Perhaps the biggest question, though, about the Niners right now is not Brock Purdy. It's what's going on with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Here's what Alex Smith had to say about that situation and the possibility of either one of those guys getting traded.
I hope there was obviously open communication going on this entire time. And I think if that were the case, which good organizations are doing, you don't have to mend anything, right? I mean, I think as long as you're open, listen, both these guys get it, that it's a business. I think everybody in it, they've been around long enough to understand that. And I think all that a player can ask is that the team and organization is always up front. And I think that's the way Kyle and John operate. Listen, they've both been there as well. They've been around a long time. You know, John was a player. Kyle's been around the game forever, since he was a kid. And I'm very confident that's how they do operate. So I don't think there needs to be a ton of mending. Listen, you know, when you play, you understand how it goes. And listen, this is coming from a guy I got shipped off twice and traded. And again, I think having gone through that twice, that's what you do appreciate. You know, honesty, being upfront, open communication. And so I listen. You don't have the success that the 49ers have had under John and Kyle by not operating that way. So I think those guys will be just fine. I think once OTAs start, minicamp, those guys will get back in and start rolling. And they're looking forward to next year and probably glad that this is all kind of behind them.
It really is going to be a great wide receiver room. Right, wait to see what Ricky Pearsall does. I mean, everyone's speaking so highly about this kid. We had him on the show this past week. You can find that entire interview on 95.7 The Game on our Odyssey account, on your app if you download the Odyssey app, and also on YouTube. Search 95.7 The Game, like, subscribe there. Entire interview there. Ricky Pearsall joining Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Presumably, if all of them are at training camp and on the field week 1, could be something special brewing. But we've been saying that a lot for San Francisco. And it's only going to be special if it ends in a Lombardi. Speaking of special, that's how I would describe the morning roast. Next on 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game.